My name's Megan.
And I'm Paul, and today we're going to be making Megan's world-famous risotto.
The point of our show is to teach you a basic recipe and give you the tools that you need to interchange ingredients within that recipe. So let's get started.
So this recipe is pretty basic, but you do need some essentials. One of those would be arborio rice, and then salt and pepper. Megan, what else do they need?
Can you tell us about arborio rice? What is it exactly?
I do not know.
It's a pasta rice. It's a pasta.
Okay.
It's not actually rice.
All right.
That's what makes
Cool.
this dish so cool, and it's what makes it so creamy.
All right.
I thought you knew all that.
No, I don't.
Maybe.
I just...
Okay.
just
Paul, can you tell us what makes arborio?
I don't want to do that. Like, you do it.
The reason you want to use arborio rice in particular is because it's actually an Italian style rice. It's not rice at all. It's pasta. And that makes your dish makes your dish super creamy at the end. The other things that you're going to need are a fat of some sort. You can use butter, olive oil.
I like avocado oil.
Any fat you want to use will work great for this recipe. Then you're going to need some aromatics. These could be onions, shallots, garlic, leeks, anything that's going to give you real depth of flavor to your food.
You also need, I don't know, these are onion goggles. We've had them in our family for years. Pick you up some of these. They've got like nice foam padding so it locks in the flavor from the outside. We don't want the flavor coming inside. We want the flavor locked in. See the foam? So it kind of... Anyway, they've been in our family for generations. Really just one generation, but...
They really do work.
Yeah, they work great.
They fit your face good. That's what's important.
Yeah, they fit your face so good.
Yours especially.
Yeah, your big fat face.
The other thing you're going to have is some kind of stock. You can use a vegetable stock, chicken stock, beef stock. I love veggie stock because it's vegetarian, and some of our family's vegetarian, and we eat with them a lot. So it's always nice to have that on hand. The last thing you're going to need is some sort of wine. This is a non-alcoholic wine. You can also use a white wine, something dry, I would recommend. You can also use red wine if you want your risotto to be super rich in flavor, but keep in mind, it will turn it pink. We're using sherry today. And the last thing is a cheese. This is Gruyere. It is kind of like a Swiss.
How do you say that?
Gruyere.
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 Gruyere. I always wanted to say
Gruyere.
Gruyere. Yeah.
Gruyere.
Mm-hmm. Richard Gere was a cheese. He'd be Richard Gruyere. Richard Gruyere.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Some kind of delicious, like hard, grateable cheese, like a Parmesan or something like that. You just want it to melt and create a beautiful, delicious, cheesy creaminess to your sauce. Now that you know what you need, let's get it started.
Now it's time to put this to the test, or put these to the test. I don't know. Anyway, first thing I do is, because I got these onion goggles, I go ahead and just chop this thing. This apparently is where all the flavored juices come. See, I'm immune. I'm like Wolverine. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and there's plenty of ways to peel an onion.
While Paul is cutting up this onion, I'm going to get 3 cups of chicken stock or veggie stock ready in a pan. I love the bouillon that comes where it's kind of a paste, and you scoop out 1 teaspoon per 1 cup of water. And then we're going to heat it on low.
You know, a lot of people have that chopping technique where they do their knuckle and they use the knuckle to save the rest of their fingers. I don't buy any of that. You just cut the onion. It's food. It's going to be fine. So for this recipe of risotto, you only need 1/4 of a cup of an onion if you're doing a whole cup of risotto. So about half of that'll be good, and you can save this guy for the next time.
So we've got our 3 cups of stock that are heating up right now on low. And now we're gonna put 4 tablespoons of butter into our pan and heat it on medium. Now, if you're using olive oil or a different kind of oil, you just want about 4 big glugs. So the same thing, about 4 tablespoons of fat per 1 cup of risotto.
All right, so we're gonna shred Richard Gere's favorite cheese, this Gruyere cheese. I don't know, kind of sounds like derriere to me. And I guess, well, it smells okay, I guess.
This is one of my very favorite types of cheese. It is absolutely delicious. It adds an amazing depth of flavor to anything you want to use them on. Sort of like Parmesan, sort of like Swiss. Get some.
Oh, by the way, this is pretty self-explanatory, but because I grew up with my mom doing this, but my wife Megan was just telling me that putting a paper towel under the grater, it makes it really easy to dump the cheese in, so you can move all the cheese that you grate if you've got one of these. I don't know, what kind of grater is this? This is
Box grater.
A box grater, yeah. So if you got a box grater, this is the way to go. Do the paper towel trick.
There we go.
You're going to grate this until we get about a half cup of cheese, which I think I'm over the mark there. I did about half the block, as you can see. And we're going to dump this into the risotto at the appropriate time.
So now that our butter is melted, we are going to dump in our onion and cook it on medium heat. We are looking to saute our 1/4 cup of onion in 4 tablespoons of some sort of fat. So we've got our butter and our onions working, and we're gonna let those saute for just about 3 minutes or so until we start seeing them get fragrant and a little bit soft.
This is the moment of truth. 1 cup of the main ingredient.
All right, so now our onion's been cooking for about 3 minutes. It's softened, it's fragrant, it is looking really excellent, and the next step is to pour in your cup of risotto rice. Now, what we're going to do now is actually toast the grains. This makes your risotto super flavorful, more layers of
umami!
It adds in more layers of umami, and that's one of the things that makes risotto really incredible, is we're continuing to add layer upon layer upon layer of flavor.
Umami.
So we're stirring that around. You're going to continue to stir it. You do not want it to scorch or toast too quickly. You want to wait until your grains begin to get just a little bit opaque on the edges, and that lets you know that they have started to absorb some of that onion and butter flavor. Also, our onions are quite large chunks, but that's okay. It's going to be delicious.
Oh boy.
I blame you, my sous chef.
I chopped that onion to perfection. I do take offense to the characterization that was made, and I plan on challenging the results of the chopped onion in court.
So now, as you can see, the risotto has got a little bit of a sheerness to the outside, and you can see the opaqueness in the center. That means it's pretty ready, and it's starting to sizzle a little bit. So now we're going to add another layer of flavor. We're going to add some kind of wine. Today we're doing sherry. You use about 1/4 a cup. I'm just going to eyeball it. You're going to get that sizzle, and you're going to stir it and let it absorb that flavor. It smells amazing though. Does it smell good, Paul? Check it out.
Yeah,
What's
it does smell
like?
good. It smells
get a
just
sip,
like,
you can get a whip.
okay. Yes, it smells good, just like it always smells, because this is really one of my favorite dishes.
So you're gonna wait until almost all of that liquid is completely absorbed. Risotto is a little bit of an act of love. You have to wait and let it absorb the liquid before adding more. This ensures that your risotto doesn't end up mushy. So take your time. It will be about a 30-minute dish, but well worth the end result and perfect if you're trying to impress someone on a date night. All right, Paul, I'm going to put you in charge. You're gonna do the next part, okay? So now we're gonna start adding in our stock. You're gonna wanna add it in 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup at a time. And again, the reason is you want your risotto to slowly absorb the liquids. And we've heated our risotto to a nice warm temperature. Otherwise it'll shock the grains and stop the cooking until it heats back up again. So you're gonna add in about, that's 1/4 cup.
1/3 of a cup, actually. Here we go, one going in. All right, you hear that?
Keep stirring until it almost absorbs all the liquid.
I think we've got full absorption.
Perfect, and add in another 1/4
1/3
of a cup of stock.
I've never actually made this before because I normally just enjoy the results, the fine culinary results.
So as you're making your risotto, you are continually stirring. It is something you can leave for like maybe 30 seconds to a minute at a time to go stir other dishes. But I highly recommend if you're making this dish along with other things that you do things that can go in the oven or things that don't have to be constantly watched. So your risotto is the only thing that you are staying on top of the whole time you're cooking. So something else that's really fun about risotto is you can add in lots of different extra ingredients. At the end, if you want to do peas or sauteed mushrooms, some sort of very special herb or chicken, there's so many things that you can add into risotto to make it super special and make it your own recipe. As you can see, it's really starting to get super creamy. You see how there's a sauce? That's really just the starch from the grains of rice themselves. Okay, so now I'm adding in more liquid, more stock, just like 1/2 cup at a time or so. And you're going to continue to do this and stir until your rice has stopped absorbing liquid. That should be right at about 3 cups. I'll see you here in a few minutes. The rice is no longer absorbing liquid. We ended up using all 3 cups. It tastes great and is soft, and now I'm adding in 1 extra tablespoon of butter to give it a little extra richness. This is totally optional.
Dumping your cheese in. Got a little on the stovetop there.
It's my favorite part, watching the cheese melt. And be careful, especially at the end, not to let it stick in your last few seconds because there's no more extra liquid for it to absorb. We're gonna turn off the heat. We're gonna salt and pepper it and check out that creaminess. I am not kidding, it is so delicious. It will absolutely rock your and any guest's socks off.
Today, we made risotto for you. Well, not you, this is ours. You gotta make your own.
But we sure are gonna enjoy it. Today, for our aromatic, we used an onion. But keep in mind, you can always use a shallot.
I love shallots. Shalot shalom.
Bye. That looks really delicious. I'm not gonna lie.